What's up, everybody? I appreciate you coming by and checking out the channel again. Today what I'm going to do is do the first video in a series for the DCS module of the NS430 GPS device. What is the GPS? What is the NS430 GPS? The easiest way to put it is it's an add-on avionics that can be placed into just about any aircraft. It gives you GPS, VOR, the real thing, which I believe this is actually modeled off of I think it's the GNS 430, but the real thing will actually tie in to not only give you that GPS guidance or VOR guidance, but actually tie into your avionics that are built into your aircraft itself, into your steam gauges, and even your communications. To give an idea, this is the GNS 430 that's done by Garmin. When you get ready to see this later in the video, you'll notice it looks quite similar to it. And essentially, as it mentions into it, it integrates your avionics. It'll give you mapping, give you better situational awareness. Evidently, lets you put it in autopilot. Didn't know that. And it is a glass cockpit piece too, so anybody who flies an aircraft, they always want those little bells and whistles. It is available on the actual eShop. The base module itself for the NS430 is $10.99. However, I do know with this, because it's made by Belsimtek, and it does integrate directly into the L39 and the MI8 for an additional cost of $5.99 per module. Some people have thrown fits about it. They say, well, if I bought the entire module for the $10.99, why do I got to pay extra to get it put in those two aircraft? I'm not here to argue that one itself. As you see here, like what I brought up on screen, they've got a bundle for $19.99 that gets you the NS430 plus both of those expansions to put them into those aircraft. Just wait for the next sale and get it for half off. It's $10 that way, and you get everything. Essentially, that's what I did, and it works really well. I've actually used it a few times in the L39. We'll be using it in MI8, and I enjoy it. So now the next question, if you purchase a module, what do you do next? How do you get it working? When you go into DCS, just to confirm that everything is set, go into your options, and make sure you're in the special tab up here as we are now. And then on the left side of all your modules, you go to the NS430, and by default, everything should be checked. It's simply put, pretty easy to explain. If it's checked, it's available on it. If it's not checked, you're not going to be able to get it. So make sure those are all set. Now you do notice in the built-in over here for the MI8 and the L39, it does have those to where it's got an extra check mark over here to where 3D view is enabled. This is so if you are wanting it built into the dash of the model of the aircraft itself, especially for people like myself who play in VR, you want this checked. As we talk about it this way in the built-in models, the unfortunate part about this is that all of these 2D over here only work in 2D play. So if you're playing with a normal flat monitor in front of you or multiple monitors, using a track IR or anything else, you can bring up a pop-up window to see it. But for those VR pilots that primarily like myself, this is not there. And I really wish Belsimtek would get their stuff together and get that part fixed. But this is essentially how you enable it. Now, to see it brought up into aircraft, I'm going to open up a mission that I created here. And all I did is just start with a blank Caucasus map, and I placed a few aircraft down. To make sure that it is available, like over here, as you see, I've got some L39Cs ready to set for client. And under your options for it, you do have these additional properties. Now, in additional properties, there's a check mark to allow the NS430 to be able to be utilized. And this is a requirement, as you probably saw in the options page to make sure it was enabled for that. This has to be checked to dismount the gun sight, because once I go into the aircraft, you're going to see where the NS430 mounts. If you had the gun sight, it's not going to work. So over here, I put an MI8 in. You're going to notice there's an additional properties over there too. And just like that, there's also an NS430 allow check mark there as well. So make sure, again, those are checked. I put a couple other aircraft in. We're going to bring these up so you can kind of see where to find them. And so with this, we're going to bring up the mission. And to give an idea, I'm going to bring up this other L39. I know some people are going to say, well, you brought up the L39ZA. Of course, the 3D one's not available into it. Doesn't matter. I'm only doing it to show, to remind people where the gun sight is. You see where the gun sight is set up into this, and you got your back seat into it itself. Because of this gun sight, if it's placed in, the L39 is going to go right here. You can't have this and that at the same time. So let's now go to my L39 that I've set with that dismounted. And you're going to see, as I've dismounted the gun sight and allowed the NS430, it is actually here now. And that's it. Like I said, similar to what you saw in the picture from Garmin's website. Turn the battery power on, and you'll see it comes on with the power of the aircraft itself. I'm not going to turn this into a tutorial how to work it, but essentially if you just drag and click up on the comm knob, everything will actually start to come up, and you have an NS430. That is in the front seat. Now, one thing to also notice, it is not available for the back seat. There is not one there. So you get one, and one only. Now you can bring it up using the 2D pop-up, which if you hold left Alt, left Shift, and B is in Bravo, you can bring it up here. And the interesting thing, like what you see now, is it can be shared from seat to seat. So if the person in the front seat has that, if you're in multiplayer, if the person in the rear is in a 2D cockpit and they want to be able to see this, aka they're not flying VR, they can see the way everything is set up in the front seat as well. So that does make it kind of cool and does make it a more shared device into it. Because, for instance, I can go into this and just for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to change it to a different page right now. Let's just change it to flight plan. So that's now changed. And you see over here in the front seat, it's changed the flight plan as well. So, but this is where it's going to be at inside the L39. The MI8, as you saw, also has it built in directly. And as soon as that wants to load up here, you're going to see it's not in the pilot seat. It's not in the engineer station, but it is right there in the navigator spot, in that same spot itself. So just like I showed you with the L39, make sure you got your battery power on. I can get my mouse clicking to be a little more efficient here. I'm going to say, did I miss? Oh, it's this side right here. So now that everything is set up, notice that it's ready to go as well. And then just like before, you can still bring it up using the left Alt, left Shift B, and that can still get brought up as well. Now, as you did see with the other things, here's where some of the other kind of cool things that does work with this. Again, if you're not normally VR flying, because it'll work with just about any other aircraft. So let's go to our A10C. This is still a high fidelity model. Yes, it's got its own navigation system in there. I myself, yes, would rather use it too. But if there's some people who want to use it, it can still actually be brought up. Maybe if I quit, did I not enable it? Okay. Well, somebody, if you got an answer for that one, drop a comment in there and let me know, because pretty sure I had that checked. And with left Alt, left Shift B, it is not coming up. So if you happen to know why it's not coming up in the A10C, feel free to do so. And kudos for me for not checking that out ahead of time. But the one thing I do know works well is your Flaming Cliffs 3 models, your low fidelity, the F-15. This one does have it. So again, we can actually set to where we've got power. Let's kind of get some things started up here real quick. You notice now, since everything is powered up, this can let us actually get some sort of navigation within an FC3 model. So people can say it as they will. You want to be able to get a better navigation with a non-high fidelity model, this is one way you can do it as well. So hopefully this gives you guys an idea as far as at least the first video of what the NS430 is, how to make sure it's enabled, where to find it in aircraft, and we'll have some other videos coming soon on the basics of how to start to use it. And thank you guys for stopping by. If you enjoyed this video, feel free, make sure and hit that like button, or give it a thumbs up, sorry. Comment, and hit that subscribe button.